the biggest bright spot from the Chargers game was the defense, specifically in the second half. Even in the first half, when they gave a lot of points, they had to fight off of 2 turnovers, and still they're able to hold the Chargers to, I believe, their season low in points. I don't have it in front of me. Don't quote me. They held them to 24, and no points in the second half, and they held Justin Herbert to 13 completions, 167 yards, and an interception, a QBR of 35.7. Justin Herbert. We're not fans of Justin Herbert on this podcast, but we are very well aware of what he's capable of. And so this was awesome, watching our defense that's supposed to be atrocious, has been atrocious. We thought would continue to be atrocious, and the offense would carry us. It was the opposite. Soto, was this just a crazy fluke? Or is this something that is applicable to this defense? Is this what the defense is or capable of? Or was this just every season our defense randomly shows up for a random game?
I think it's a little bit of both, because there were a lot of things that need to get cleaned up. Some of the tackling needs to get cleaned up. I think that
even in the good second half, tackling was so bad.
Oh yeah, it was
even in the good second half, it still wasn't.
I mean, great. Yeah, everything except for your favorite play, Divine Diablo's double leg takedown.
Dude, if you're looking for highlights defensively for our team, like how many other ones are better than that?
That and everything that Maxx Crosby did.
Yeah. Non-Maxx Crosby highlights.
Yeah. That's probably the best.
Interceptions bouncing off of DB's hands, running into quarterbacks for a sack, and then standing up and falling off.
One thing that you want to take a look at too, the one thing that I noticed when I looked at snap counts, Jacorian Bennett didn't play a lot of snaps. Yeah. David Long took a lot of snaps in the secondary in that game. I don't think that's going to be a long-term thing, but it's very difficult. Like, not everyone's going to be Sauce Gardner, dude. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to have some lumps, and I think David Long is he's a little bit more of a pro. He's not going to make those big mistakes that Jacorian Bennett was making. And I think that shows a little bit more. I'll go back to it again. It shows a better leadership style and more headsy thinking from Patrick Graham.
Patrick Graham hasn't wowed anybody, but he is flexible. He does try stuff and change things up. And
we're not playing that simple shell anymore. We're not doing that. We're being more aggressive. We're switching things up. But these players, I think the issue that we're having right now is the players trying to do too much. Mm-hmm. There is the Divine Diablo just thinking really too far ahead. And, I got the quarterback. Let me just make sure I do my job, even if you let the ball go. Let me just do my job. Why am I going to do someone else's job when I already have the quarterback in my hand? Let me just let him go and see where he threw the ball because I want to make the play again. No, do your job, right? There's he got caught in the wash in that first 50-something yard run. That was his play to make, and he got caught in the wash. He got turned around, and he didn't make the tackle.
And 7 other people missed the tackle.
I mean, it was really the most egregious on him. It was he ran right.
That's when he broke free, and then everyone else just kind of
ran right by him. It's like, dude, and in the NFL, man, it just takes you to make one guy miss, and everyone else is doing their job. Yeah, and they're just not in a position to do yours.
And that's what, and we always talk about, like, feel. Like, you keep saying how Aiden O'Connell, the offense just like looked smoother when he was playing. The defense looked bad. Like, it wasn't until halfway through the fourth quarter I realized, like, oh crap, Justin Herbert hasn't done squat. They haven't scored in the second half. We finally got a turnover for the first time all season. Hallelujah! Only took 15 quarters, right? It wasn't more than that. It wasn't until, like, oh wow, like, the numbers are on our side, even though we're still, like, missing tackles and, like, not looking great, other than Maxx, as always.
I think what made us look really bad in the second half was their ball carriers were always falling forward. Mm-hmm. They were dragging us for that extra yard. Even when we made the tackle, they were still getting that extra yard on us, right? So that was something that made it look, I think, worse than it was. Justin Herbert just didn't have a lot of places to go with the ball. And to their credit, I'm going to say right now, Spillane, Deablo, and some of the DBs did run up to make tackles when he dumped the ball off, when Herbert dumped the ball off. and we got them in those, third and mid-range, decisions. And then Herbert was just inaccurate in the second half. I don't know whether his hand was bothering him, whether the Tillery hit really shook him up. I don't know what happened, but he threw a lot of those balls out of bounds, like really far out of bounds on third down plays. So who knows, man? It could be any number of things. I think a couple of things, especially early, we saw a lot of like just whiffs on tackles early in the game. Mm-hmm. We saw our guys getting dragged for an extra yard throughout the game, and maybe some penalties that should have been called or shouldn't have been called or whatever were called. It made the defensive effort look worse than it was. I think it was pretty good.
So this is what the Raiders had going for them. Maxx Crosby had a really good, even by Maxx Crosby standards, 9 pressures, 8 tackles, 5 solos, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss. I mean, he was playing. Everyone always looks at the sack number, right? There's he had a 4-sack game, right? Khalil Mack had a 6-sack game.
Tackles for loss are just as good as a freaking sack.
Yeah, and like those pressures are why Herbert was dumping it off or throwing it away, right? It's like Maxx Crosby was Maxx Crosby.
Was harassed,
plus, right? Like he ate his Wheaties. Like I said, we finally got our takeaway. Finally, 2 dropped
due to pressure,
right? 2 dropped picks. Those were so the moehrig interception was just a gift wrapped by Herbert because of pressure.
That ball caught him.
It was just too easy. Those 2 drop picks were because guys were making good plays and getting in good position. They were jumping in front. It hit both hands. They should have caught it, but it wasn't them just like in left field and it fell on their lap. They were making a play. They just didn't make the play, right? So that was there. And they did it all without Nate Hobbs. I would say the second best player on our defense. Is there a question? Is there even a question? Who would be it's got to be Nate, right?
I think he's the second best player.
Moehrig's playing better, but I still think Nate. I think Nate's unquestionably the second best player. Did it without him. Going against us, though, the Chargers were really beat up. No Mike Williams, obviously, out for the season. Austin Eckler and Gerald Everett all out. And those are all major point scorers and yard makers for the Chargers. So I think that's also has to be taken into consideration when we're addressing how well this defense is. I don't see players progressing, but I did see probably Patrick Graham's best game in a long time, schematically wise.
Yeah, I thought we did see the team play better as a team, although there were still individual mistakes. I think it's safe to say that.
This is probably the Raiders' best defensive performance
in a while.
And I think better than we held other teams to less points last season, but I wouldn't say the defensive. It would be like a way worse offense. We didn't have 3 turnovers in that game.
Well, 2 turnovers within the 25-yard line, dude. We basically gave them 14 points.
Hey, you made it to the end of our video. Great job. I know you want more. Go ahead and click the next video. And if you're feeling crazy, go ahead and subscribe.